Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PSG of Mercer County. The Professional Service Group of Mercer County is a group that is here for you, anybody that is in any kind of career transition. And of course, happy Aloha Friday. You can see just a little bit of my shoulders. I've got one of my red Hawaiian shirts on today. And so I do like to always wish everyone a happy Aloha Friday. I hope you enjoy the day. It's going to be a nice warm one back home. And also today, perfect for a nice hot summer day, it's National Soft Ice Cream Day. So Soft Ice Cream Day is a nice way to celebrate, a nice tasty way to cool off on a hot summer's day. So if it gets a bit hot where you are, you may want to have a soft ice cream, find a soft serve place. And so hopefully you will enjoy that very well. And so, as for PSG of Mercer County, we are a group that is here for you, anyone that is in any kind of career transition. We have a wide range of services and resources for you. Among those, of course, and I do mention it each week, is our LinkedIn group. So if you're not yet a member of our LinkedIn group, I encourage you to join our LinkedIn group. Just go on to LinkedIn, go to the group section and search for PSG of Mercer County. Our group has over 1,700 members. We always add a couple each week based on new attendees that come visit our meetings. So I hope you can, if you're not yet a member of our PSG LinkedIn group, please do so. Members do contribute. They share articles, job leads, and such. So I encourage you to do that if you have not yet done that on your own. And by the way, we don't accept just anybody into our LinkedIn group. We only accept you, people that have been to one of our either in-person, hybrid, or virtual meetings. And so we do check the attendance based on the role from either the showing up in person or from the attendance on our GoToMeeting here. And so what it allows us to do is to make sure that only the people in our LinkedIn group are people that are familiar with job search, are helpers of job search, really have that in their mind. We're trying to keep the name collectors, the list collectors, the salesmen that are only in it, or salespeople that are only in it for themselves. Nothing against salespeople, but we want them to be willing and able to help job seekers. So do have that little bit of a rule that we do. We do also have our website. Our website is psgofmercercounty.org, psgofmercercounty.org. It is over 120 pages of content, so it's more than just a landing page. And we do have a menu option. We have a lot of menus and options. We have a menu on top, and there's a section called Career Options. And so it's a section that includes a lot of pages, including sections on if you're getting started and new to job search, or maybe other options as well. For instance, maybe you want to learn how to work as a consultant. You've never had a consultant's mindset or thought about it. Or you're thinking of starting a business or buying a franchise or doing things like that. It's not the be-all or end-all of any of those topics, but they're great starting points. And even if you're not starting a job search, but maybe you're in a little bit of a rut, it's a great place maybe to help you read something, learn something, and refocus to restart your job search. So go take a look at that. And so, as I said, our ground rules, very simple. We are using chat for question. A good idea might just be type the word question in the chat, the digital equivalent of raising your hand, and then I'll just take a look for that. And if Glenn doesn't see it, I'll say to Glenn simply, oh, excuse me, Glenn, there's a question from, and your name. And you could speak with him, or you could type the word question as well as type your question, and I will read it on your behalf. And so that's what we will do. And as you and Glenn have a conversation, of course, you can unmute your microphone at that point. But for the time being, I will say keep your microphones on mute if you don't have a need to speak with Glenn, just again to make sure there's no accidental background noise. And with that, I will say PSG of Mercer County is pleased to welcome and welcome back Glenn Pasch. Glenn is the CEO of PCG Digital, an Inc. 5000 agency that specializes in helping dealerships and businesses generate qualified shoppers. As a leader in digital marketing and leadership training, he's been featured on CBT News, Dealer Marketing Magazine, Auto Success, and Automotive News. He's also the host of You're in Charge, Now What? It's a podcast. Glenn is a co-author of 2 books, including Selling Cars in the Digital Age and The Power of Connected Marketing. He's an adjunct professor at Northwood University and is also an international speaker who has spoken on leadership, marketing, consumer experience, and building high-performing teams. He's worked with individuals and teams from the front lines to the C-suite, from small business to large brands like Spectrum, Comcast, Lithia Motors, Berkshire Hathaway, Auto Canada, Nissan, Infiniti, and Toyota. PSG of Mercer County is very pleased to welcome back one of our favorite social media gurus, Len Pasch.
So for those of you who have not seen me speak or be here, I know there's a few familiar faces I see and familiar names. I'm not a very big presentation heavy person with a lot of slides and things like that. My goal is to help you get your questions answered. So as David said, please feel free to use the chat. I want to spend the next, 90 minutes or so working with you to get your questions answered. So be a little selfish in a good way, because if you have a question, I'm sure someone else here has questions as well. So again, as David put in the chat, how to ask the questions. So again, don't be shy. So today, what I wanted to chat about, and it is a topic that I've spoken about before here, but it's constantly evolving, which is for someone who is in job transition, or some of you I see since the last time I may have spoken with you, some of you are going the entrepreneurial route or the consultant route. And so you have while you're looking maybe for a permanent position with a company, you're out there marketing yourself and providing services with what you do best. So the question I'm asked many times is social media important for a job seeker? And if the answer is yes, well, then how do we do it? What do I do? And so that's what we're going to tackle today, some of the thoughts around that. So as I said, please make sure you're asking questions. That to me is really, really important to tailor the presentation to you. I don't like just talking to myself or to you for an hour. That doesn't make me happy. I'd rather answer questions. So my first thing, as David said, I run a marketing agency. I have been a partner and running this agency now for 13, 14 years. I did not come into marketing knowing marketing. I worked in different industries. I worked for companies. I've told the story. You've heard it before. You will hear it again. I found myself in a very similar situation with maybe some of you who are on this call. I worked for a company for 10, 12 years, and I was told, you're never going to be, you're going to be one of the last people. But when things hit a bumpy road, we parted ways, and I found myself adrift, because I had put so much effort into the company, not myself, and I supported them. When I left, I didn't have a sense of who I was and how I could present myself to an organization. For many of you, I think I've asked this question before, and those of you on camera, you can wave. How many of you, if you're in transition, worked for a previous company for over 6, 7, 8, 9 years, right? And so you walk out and your company was what identified you. When you spoke to people and they said, what do you do? Most of us defaulted to, well, I work for X. It wasn't about you. It was I work for X, or I do something, but it was the company that was the most important piece of collateral, or sort of a badge of honor when you're out there. And now all of a sudden for me, I found myself not knowing how to communicate, because again, if any one of you guys here, I can see some of us from the gray hair sect, we worked for multiple years. And if you worked for an organization for 8, 9, 10 years, there's so many things that you did. And it's hard to put that out in a resume form or now your LinkedIn profile. Like, how do I communicate all the things that I did for this organization to someone else? And so that I hired a coach to get me through it. But my wife was the one who basically woke, which good wives or good husbands will do, is wake you up, or good friends will wake you up and say, well, Glenn, at the end of the day, out of everything you did for that company, what did you like to do best? What made you the happiest? And for me, it was building teams, helping solve problems operationally, coaching and developing. And she goes, well, then that's what you need to go focus on. Either find an organization that needs that, or just start going to work and as a consultant. But that's what I did. And so that's what I started to do. And so how I got into marketing was I had no idea how to market myself doing this. My brother, who started the company that I am now partners with, said, I'll come down. I will help you learn how to market yourself on social media and how to get out there in front and how to let people know about what you can do. And so he taught me that, but I helped him build his company. But over time, so again, marketing was not inherent to me. So for those of you, and again, I know it's a little bit of a roundabout way to get started, but it does allow everyone to understand, because this has been comments in previous sessions here, in person or remote, was, I don't know how to talk about myself. I don't want to brag about myself. All of that social media makes me uncomfortable because it makes me feel like I'm bragging, and that's not who I am. And so it took me a while, because it's not inherent into me either, to understand, well, if someone doesn't know you or about you, they're not going to hire you. So again, let me just repeat that. If they don't know about you, if you're not clear about how you can help them, they're not going to hire you. Now, there's a few of you who are doing your own individual consulting. So again, if that's your business, well, then we have to market ourselves that our company solves problems, and you're the face of that company, right? There was someone who was here earlier, and I clicked on your LinkedIn profile, and you're doing web design. Well, you're the face of that company. And so when you're out on social media, which is where everybody hangs out, right? Everybody jumps on this thing. And so it is our lifeline to the world. And we do spend a lot of time socially looking at content, watching videos. We get our news from there. We're connecting with friends. We're talking with family. We're checking, we're checking for our business information about our business. So you have to understand that's the hub now, right? That's the hub. Before this, and again, it's been 10 years, a little more, but previous to that, there wasn't that hub. There were online forums, maybe. There were organizations like this where you would meet up. Maybe there was a club that you joined, or you connected with people in your network. Maybe you played golf. Maybe you had friends that went out to dinner together. You joined, as I said, you joined an organization, you volunteered, and that's how people in the community got a sense of who you are. Well, today, that mentality is actually still the same about you and or your business or your skills. So again, remember, even if you're reaching out to organizations to fill a position, you are a business. You yourself are a mini business saying, I can solve that problem. So whether you are someone like the gentleman who a company will say, I need a website, and you're like, I can do the website, I can do this, I can build that. There was another person who was here earlier who says, I help businesses unlock financials and simplify, and I help CEO. Great. But if someone was still hiring you full time for a position, they have a problem that they need a solution for. And you have to advertise yourself like a business to say, I solve this problem. So today, so with that framework, I want to talk a little bit about some of the platforms. I'm not going to go deep diving into, well, this is how your LinkedIn profile should look, and here's how. I'll talk in general. If somebody later on wants me to look at their profile, just DM me, connect me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I've done that before. There are other people, though. David's done a great job. There are people that come in that's their expertise. That's really what they do, and they help. And I believe my good friend Alex Freud is on here as well. His skill set to help with interviews and presenting and getting yourself ready, that's his skill set. So again, reach out to him. But from a social media standpoint, you first have to think about yourselves reverse engineering. I'm a big fan of going backwards. So when I work with my clients and they're saying, well, how do we market ourselves out? I first start with a question that says, how do you want your customers to feel after they do business with you? And then I will say to them, great, now what do your employees have to do in order to generate that feeling? Then we take those actions and we build processes and we train them, and then we hire people that can do that. And then we get them technology to help them to do that, or technology online to allow our customers to interact in a way. But you notice we're going backwards. We're not pushing down on them. So same thing for you. If you said to yourself, what problem do I solve? Forget your title. I say this all the time to everybody. Whatever title you were given is arbitrary. And the reason I say it's arbitrary, and I'm just using the people who I can see on my screen. Maxine runs a company. When she hands the title of manager out to someone, it may be something completely different than Nancy's company, who says you're a manager, or John's that says manager, or VP, or head of this, or whatever the title is. So I always challenge everyone to say, throw your titles away. Throw every title out and just look at your career. Look at what your skills are, what problems you solve, or more importantly, what problems do people in the organizations that you worked in, what problems did they come to you to solve on a consistent basis? That becomes the core of what you're going to talk about online in social media. Because if you talk about everything, you talk about nothing. If you say you're good at everything, you're good at nothing. You can't do everything. It just doesn't exist. You know, I shared that early on after college, I was an actor for a while, and for about 10 years. And I had a mentor that said, he would ask everybody, well, what role do you think you can play? Of course, you're egotistical at that age. I can play anything. And he said, absolutely not. Pick one. That gets you in the door. Later on, you can expand. And if you think of your favorite actors, when they were all starting out, they were probably cobbled into one sort of role until somebody, their success or their expertise or someone else saw them and said, I could see you doing this, and it expanded out. So same thing for you. If you want to get in the door, you have to be very clear on what problem you solve. Not your skills. Remember, we're not advertising skills. The skills are the tools to solve the problem. The skills are to solve the problem. So how many of you, I see a few of you here, raise your hand if you ever hired anyone for your organization. Anyone? Yep. Hired. A few of you guys are raising your hands. Think about when you had to hire somebody, or maybe you didn't do the hiring, but you had to go to your HR department and say, I need somebody for my team. The reason that happened, there was an issue, good or bad. We're expanding. We need more people. I promoted someone, or someone headhunted internally. Someone came in and took John off of my team, and now I got to fill John's slot. Or that person's not doing well, we had to let them go, and I need to replace. But when you went there, or when you were trying to figure out how to find somebody, remember, you had a lot of problems, right? It wasn't just one thing. It was like, I need them to do this and this, and they need this and this and this and this and this. And you hoped that you got somebody. But when you went to HR, you told them that, they went in their little tool, oh, that sounds like an X. And they came up with a title, and they put the title out there, and you got resumes, and you sat in front of people, and you're going, this person doesn't fit at all. Or this person didn't explain how they solved my problem. I had to pull it out of them. And then I, as the person interviewing, get frustrated trying to figure out, like, why is this person not clear on what they can solve? Because you, in the position of sitting as a person who's, again, marketing your abilities, are not clear on what problems you solve and how to communicate it in a way that people get it just like that. So again, I'm focusing on this first because we could jump into social media and then people are going to go, yeah, but what am I posting? What am I talking about? Why am I doing this? Once you're really clear on how I solve problems and saying it non-business speak. That's one of my things. If you've ever sat through one of my presentations here, I am the king of I hate business speak. It bothers me because when we get caught up in all of these, well, I'm an entrepreneurial spirit, I'm a data-driven individual that can impact, I was like, what the hell does that mean? And I've seen some of you, I've looked, some of the people who I know, because you've been in a few, I've looked at your LinkedIn and I'm like, bravo, because you're explaining what you do in your title or in your summary in a way that you're talking to someone at a barbecue who asks you, so Maxine, what do you do? If you said, and I told the story where I had a friend who was an auditor and he said, well, I'm an auditor and I do this, and people just go, okay, whatever, until we got him to speak in a way that someone goes, oh, that's cool, tell me more, or, oh, that makes sense, I have a friend who needs that. So think of you explaining what you do to an 8-year-old, a 14-year-old, your kids, or a neighbor who has absolutely no idea. And you have to get it to them in 2-3 seconds, 5 seconds. Like I tell people, they say, what do you do? Like, I help businesses become more profitable through generating more opportunities and through efficiencies of their processes, period. And people go, oh, that makes sense. Because what did I say? I help businesses generate more profit. No discussion about that. People are like, oh, I want to hear more about that. Yeah, I could say I market, I do social media, I do training, I do leadership. And now, again, we've all run across those people at cocktail parties where they do that and you just go, can I yeah, thank you, and leave. So take a moment today or over the next week. It does, again, these are things that just sort of pop into your head now that you just sit with it in the morning and just say to yourself, what problems do I solve? What problems have I solved? What problems do I like solving? Once you start thinking about that through your career, the current company you're at, the current company you just left, the 3 or 4 companies you worked at in your career, there is a common thread, trust me. You just never saw it before because nobody asked you to ever look at it. You looked at titles, you looked at things, job duties, but there is a consistency. You know, there is a gentleman, I spoke at an organization that was a CFOs and numbers, and they said, oh, there's no common thread. I said, really? Think about it. Forget your title. And he said, oh, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, people always came to me to explain the reports in simple terms. That's a problem you solve. That's a skill you have. I make numbers understandable so people can take action and generate revenue. If you were applying for a CFO position or somebody who handled the numbers and you sat across from somebody and they said, well, tell me about yourself. It's like, my superpower is I can take data and I can explain it to people in understandable language where they then can take action and generate revenue. I'll guarantee you someone's going to say, that's interesting. They're going to pick their head up and have a conversation with you. Well, tell me tell me about that. Give me an example. And what are we doing now? We're having a conversation. The reason I'm highlighting that is because that's what social media is. Social media, remember, is social. a lot of people have really fell into the trap, because as they say, anything that's good, marketers are going to get in there and screw it up sooner or later. It's what we do. Because why? There's an audience. So we're going to come in and we're going to sell you and tell you how great everything is. But it is social, so it's conversations. It's just each platform has a little different angle. Like for me, I use Twitter to get news, to have some conversations with some people, but it's quick. Let me ask you a question. Let me do this. What about this? I need feedback. And it's ding, 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 ding. I use LinkedIn for collaboration with business, promoting things, putting out content, getting people to audiences that I want to connect with, leaders I want to connect with. And Facebook is a little more relaxed, friends, family, even people that I connect with on LinkedIn, but what I talk about on Facebook with them is not the same that I talk on LinkedIn. So understanding those different, right? So again, think about it as LinkedIn is a business cocktail party, a business networking event at a conference. That's completely different than Facebook being your backyard barbecue or a company picnic. Completely different. I still have people there who are in business, but we're in shorts and we have, versus we're buttoned up and we have to watch what we say, or, we're talking about certain things. And it's, so the key to social media, and the reason why, again, we're talking about this a little bit backwards, which is what is your skill? How do I talk about myself? Now we're talking a little bit about the platforms, because it's how you want to present yourself. So remember, LinkedIn, we want to present ourselves as someone who is business centric. We're professional. Doesn't mean we can't have fun. Doesn't mean we can't laugh. But when somebody lands on our profile, they should get a very clear understanding of what you do, how you solve problems very quickly at the top. Because again, there are two schools of thought. And so again, there is no right. I've tested and tried and changed my profile a bazillion times. And I've just changed it recently again to test. I was like, I talked to somebody and they said, this is working for me. I said, all right, let me try it. There is no right or wrong. Some will list all of your skills, like I'm a web developer, HTML, WordPress, this, that, the other thing. I'm a leadership coach. For a while it was, CEO, author, leadership training, what, to catch that eyeball. Now some people have, and mine has changed a little bit, where that whole thing about I help companies become more profitable by doing this, that's my title. And then when we get into the about us. But whether your title is either one of those, and again, it could be dependent on industry, where if you're IT centric and you need qualifications and you need certifications, and someone's not even going to look at your profile unless they see right in your title you have these things. Okay, like I said, everything is different depending on what business you're in, what you're trying to do, audience, right? So remember, if you're marketing, the key to marketing yourself, a product, a company, you have to understand the audience. So if you're going to say, I want to work in this industry, who is that audience? Are they very buttoned up firms that you have to go through 3 HR interviews and this, that, and the other thing, and they're looking for these expertise and they're looking for these qualifications? Well, then that's your audience. Then you have to design your presentation of you in that manner. If you're going to a company like mine, where it's, you can get directly to me as the owner, it's a marketing company, it's a little more casual. Well, then I'm looking for creative, I'm looking for fun, I'm looking for thinking, personality. Then that's what you have to market on your LinkedIn. But it's understanding, again, what problem you solve, how can I talk about it very clearly, who is my audience, who's the audience that I want to impress, that I want someone to go, oh yeah, I want to talk to that person. And understanding that, because I've seen too many times where you're playing to the wrong audience, or you're trying to play to every audience. And remember, you can't please everyone. You're not for everyone. And that's a good thing, but you have to understand that. And I say that's the arena. Now, the great thing about the job market, thanks to COVID, there are a lot more organizations, mine included. Pre-COVID, everyone had to be in the office in New Jersey. Now, I have people who work for me who are around the country. I've never met them face to face. I've met them just like I'm looking at you. Zoom. I think it was this year, I met one gentleman who's been working with me for over a year and a half, met him for the first time face to face because we were at a conference together. That's okay. So now all of a sudden your availability has broadened. So you're no longer, well, I only can go here. There are companies that will hire you. A woman who worked for me as a graphic designer now is working for an agency in Washington, D.C. She still lives in New Jersey. I still see her. We're still friends. But now it's opened up. So that's a really good thing for everyone as well, to think outside of just your geographic region in terms of possibilities of where you could work. So again, going backwards again, we want to understand what our skill set is, like what problem do we solve? You can explain all your skills, right? We want to be able to speak about it clearly, simply first. You'll get into the detail. The goal is when we say what we do very clearly and simply, someone leans in and says, that's great, tell me more. But if you hit them with, look at all the things I do, you push them away. Then we want to look at what arenas, what platforms that you want to use, and then who's our audience? Who do we want to engage with? And then we're designing our marketing, our LinkedIn profile, our Facebook profile, what we post, what we interact with, what we share is to highlight who we are. So when we connect with individuals in the audience that we want, or we connect with people who could help us connect with others, if somebody looked at your profile, looked at what you're doing and sharing on social media, they're going to get a good sense of who you are, very clear, because what they see in your profile then can also be seen in what you're sharing, commenting, doing on social media, because now that is one step closer to being a living, breathing person, let alone what if you're on podcasts? What if you are doing a Zoom call? What if you're on a webinar presenting something? Now someone gets a little more personality. Or they meet you at a conference. They see you speak at a conference. You're engaged in some organization like you do here when we were all live, or continue now to be live in Princeton. So, any questions about that before we get into the next section, which is a little more now granular in details? Anybody questions? We're good. All right. I see a couple of people sharing things, which is question and answer, right? Yes, someone said part of the reason. Go ahead,
Hi,
please.
can you explain to us what you meant by you can't play to everybody? Like, I understand that sometimes, like, let's say if you want to be, a very top level executive assistant for the chairman's office, let's say. So you do have to be kind of like more than one hat, right? Like all things to all people, sort of. Like you have to know a number of things in a number of industries. And so how do you sort of shine and highlight your really good, extremely good, Excel and PowerPoint skills, but you also know about, the financial markets on a level that is beyond just, regular college. Like let's say you did take some MBA classes and you are kind of like headed towards that direction, but you just want to like, continue as is in the assistant level track until you're ready to do more, but you know more. So how do you bring that out? How do you flesh that out without looking like, you're doing too much, or like let's say like if I used to be in working in a hospital doing similar things, but in a medical function. Like I know a lot about technologies in the biomedical sciences. How can I bring that to bear in the financial markets, let's say,
Great,
without
great.
overdoing?
Yeah, no, great. And that's a great question. When I say playing to everybody, meaning I can do everything. So in your case, you're saying I'm a great executive assistant, right? That's what I do. So when you're explaining that, what I mean is by playing to everybody is, well, I can do everything. No, you can't. I am, but what about that executive assistant? What problem do you solve for the person you're the assistant to? Let's answer the question. We can role play a little. So again, if you're saying I'm a great, forget the industry. Those are skills. But if you're saying I like being an executive assistant, yes, I want to eventually get up to be the one at the boardroom, whatever. But as an executive assistant, what problems do you solve for the person you're the assistant to?
Oh, you want me to answer?
Yeah, please. Why not?
Well, you help organize and help shape the person's calendar and day. You manage several different conferences, including international conferences, so I can deal on a multi-zone capacity. Like I'm very good with, that. I can speak 3 languages. I don't know. Pretty good
Well,
at Excel.
so think about this. You're talking right now, and this is a great example for everyone. What's your name, by the way? Because I can't.
Eleanor, Eleanor, Eleanor.
Eleanor? Okay. So Eleanor, what you're talking about, again, and this is the default that a lot of people do, is you're telling me all the skills you have. I organize your calendar. I can do Excel. I can speak 3 languages. What you're really saying to me is I remove the stress from my, whoever it is, my boss's day. I remove all obstacles from their day so they can accelerate and generate revenue. They can accomplish what they want to do. I take all of those obstacles, problems, confusions away from them.
Time zone challenges, when we do
All of
international
it.
meetings.
But see, what I'm saying is that when you say to somebody, what do? I make my boss more efficient because I remove all of the obstacles and problems out of their way on every day. Like that's what you say. That's what I do. I make them way more efficient and productive because I keep all the distractions, obstacles away from them, and I organize their day so they can accelerate. Like that's what I would say. And then someone goes, well, that sounds fantastic. I want that. Like if somebody was interviewing you for an assistant position and you say, that's what I do. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Here's what I do for the people that I'm their assistant. I make them more efficient. I make them more productive because I remove obstacles. I remove all the distractions for them so they can, and stress, so they can accelerate. Everybody here who was looking for an assistant would say, I'd like that. I'd like to have no distractions. I'd love to have stress. I'd love to have somebody organize my day. Then you can get into, well, tell me a little bit about what that means. Well, I'll organize your calendar. If you're going somewhere, I'll take care of all your travel. I speak 3 languages. I make sure nothing gets to you. I'm the filter for you. Nothing's going to get to you unless it goes through this filter, and then I'm going to present it in a way that you want so that you can consume the knowledge very quickly, accelerate. You see, now you're starting to talk about your skills in a way that, again, is telling the story of how you're going to be productive. Just saying I'm good at Excel, okay, in what context? For what reason? I speak 3 languages. Okay, well, do I, as the person I'm interviewing, do I need somebody to speak 3 languages or not? That sounds great, but in what context? So when I'm saying you can't be everything to everybody is, again, even if you're in medical, now you say I'm going to financial, it doesn't matter because you take care of removing stress. You organize my day. You deal with my calendar. I don't care if it's medical field, financial stuff. Or if you're organized, I'll teach you the things I need. But if your general skill set is I'm wickedly organized, I'm the barrier at the gate, they're not getting through. You're going to be, every day you come in, here's your day, organization stuff. You don't have to think twice. The only thing you, boss, have to think about is what you need to go do. That's what I mean. When you're trying to play, when you get into all of the skills, and again, I thank you for sharing this and being the sort of the guinea pig to raise your hand first, which is awesome. When you get into the skills, you're just throwing skills against the wall to hopefully connect with something. That's what I'm saying. It's a little bit of like, oh, I can do Excel, and I can do this, and I can do that.
So what you're saying verbally sounds awesome and sounds really good, but like, how do you translate it into a nice little blurb on like LinkedIn? Like, I feel like LinkedIn is very limited in terms of how you can shape your image and the possibilities of what you can bring to the table, because it's just so defining by the listing, your bucket list of like
No,
just.
well, see, I will push back and challenge you a little bit. I would go look at some people in this group. Go look at mine. Go read mine. Go read some of the rest. I would put exactly what I just told you as my about us.
Oh, really? In your little summary, you will talk about I help people reduce.
Yes, absolutely. That's the beginning of it. My first paragraph, and again, you would put maybe in your title, your executive assistant, whatever, is like, or I remove stress and obstacles for my boss so they can become more productive. And like, that's what I'd start. Your first sentence in about us, I would say.
You can really say that, like unabashedly, like no shame in that.
See, again, this is where, and again, I thank you so much for sharing this, because what you're saying is exactly where people are frustrated, because they're looking at LinkedIn like a paper resume.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, whatever was on my resume there. But think about this, because some people in this group have done this and they've gotten interviews because of it. Because think about it. If I'm looking for a person and I'm just flipping resumes, and all the resumes are, I'm a highly qualified, data-driven analytics, I blah, 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 blah. Right. All of a sudden you flip on one and somebody says, I remove obstacles for my bosses so they can be more efficient and effective. All of a sudden that snaps people out and go, what? And they look at you. Your marketing, you have to stand out. If you want to look like everyone else, you're not going to stand out. So yes, you can. That about us, you can put whatever you want. It's your profile. So if you turn around and say, this is what I do. I am an executive. I am a powerful executive assistant, or I am, again, the guardian at the gate. My boss calls me the guardian at the gate, or my boss calls me the rocket fuel, or remove whatever. You can come up whatever, but basically what you're saying to somebody is, this is what I do for the people I work for. I remove all the stress, all the obstacles, keep distractions away, so my boss can be more efficient, more effective, and can be more profitable. You say that to any boss, they're going to go, well, that's interesting. Tell me how you do it. Let me know a little bit more. And that's all you want, is for someone to say, all right, Eleanor, that sounds great. Tell me a little bit about it. Give me an example. And then you can say, okay, well, here's what I did for my previous boss. Anytime they needed X, I did it. I blocked this. I organized this. They had Excel sheets. I did the Excel sheets, but then I gave them a summary with the high-level bullet points so they could look at it. They could accelerate. Nobody got to them unless they went through me. I had created structures, and I created these, and I did this, and I did that, and I did this. All of a sudden, the person's going, okay, I see how that would be useful to me. But if all you're going to say is, I do Excel, I do Word, I speak 3 languages, I'm really organized, I'm really outgoing, I'm the nice person, that's what everybody says. But nobody's telling me nobody's telling me a story. You want to create a story, right? So if you think about it like a commercial just doesn't say, we save you money. They tell you a little bit of story. They show you an example, like the house blew down and the person, like farmers, going, well, you got this. And the person goes, yeah, or whatever it is you want to identify. So what again is you're presenting the solution of what you do by showing the problem. And then when someone's reading it, they shake their head and they go, damn, I wish I had that. Or man, my assistant doesn't do this.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Please.
One possible way too could be is ask a question. Are you a business executive who is being tied down by inefficient business processes and you can't focus on strategic, something like that? I can make your day more efficient and streamline it to make you focus on the business at hand or something like that. Ask a question that kind of gets them.
And whoever that was, that's phenomenal. Like, are you this? Well, my goal for the people I work for is to ding, 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 ding. But again, it's not the skill. They'll get to the skill. If you hook them in the about us or in your title, they will scroll down and they will see where you worked last and they will see what things you did. They will scroll down and see what skills. That's why there's a section that says skills. The problem is everybody takes their skills and puts it in the top and try to sell people on skills instead of, well, what do you do with those skills? What problems do you solve? You could be a master of Excel and cause more confusion for your boss than solutions. You know what I'm saying? You could overcomplicate things. So again, that's why I always start with what problem do you solve? And for you, in your case, is I make my boss's life easier. Pretty much that's what I do. I make my boss's life easier so they can focus on what they do, and I keep all these distractions away from them. So again, find a way to talk about that, put that in there, and then you can talk a little bit. But again, that about us section of LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you are is what you want them to get hooked on to scroll down. In a cocktail party, tell me more. In an interview, tell me more. I would say, Eleanor, if somebody asked you the question, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. That's the first thing I would say. Not, well, I grew up in New Jersey and I got married. We'll get to that. Honestly, I get excited by solving my boss's problems. I get happy when my boss is not distracted by anything other than their job. That's what I do. That's what gets me excited every single day. That's telling you, like, if not, why are you in that position? If you don't get excited about that job, then why are you in that position? So tell people how excited. That's what I like doing. Like for me, I love coaching people. I like when I'm here in Mississippi with clients. This week was so great because one of the gentlemen I've been working with broke through and now is in control. And you know what he said to me? He goes, this is the first time in 25 years of being in this industry that I feel in control of my day. You know how good that feels to me? But it's his work. I'm just his coach. But do you see that? Like, that makes me excited. So same thing for you as an executive assistant. Again, title, schmitle, whatever it is.
So do you talk about, let's say, if you come on to these meetings every week, or maybe you go to different meetings, different career groups. I'm not sure if you do, but do you do that? And then would you talk about it, let's say, in your potential position to be a coach, to lend yourself to another larger organization? Would you highlight and talk about, like, here, you've spoken to me today, or you've spoken to our group today, and then you move on and talk about other groups that you've spoken to? Like, would you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is I volunteer. Like, I'm not selling anything. I don't sell coaching. There's people who've reached out to me for help, but like, that's not what I'm here. I don't have a package to sell anybody. I got an agency to run. But I met Rich Pollock years ago. He introduced me to this organization, and this is what I do because, one, I was in your position, and number two, I have something that can help you. So let's go. And so I have spoken to other breakfast clubs and other organizations, and people have said, hey, can you come in and talk to my team? Okay. But ultimately, again, getting back to this now, and to Eleanor's point, is that's what you should be thinking about of your profile, getting that out there. Now, the next phase of this, because I'd be remiss if we didn't move to the next thing, which is, well, what do I do on social media? Well, to me, some people, there's
Excuse me,
a lot
Glenn.
of, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a question from Gerard online. So let me just read that before you move on to the next step.
Great.
Can one show a potential employer he can solve their problems without using the business lingo at all? Or does one have to prove he knows the industry language?
Great question. Depends on your audience. I think most people, honestly, listen, I've met CEOs of Fortune 100 companies, and we all hate the business speak. We all sit in conferences and laugh and play like buzzword bingo. Like, oh, what's the word this week? Oh, it's going to be synergy. Oh, it's stakeholders. Oh, it's, collaborate, like everybody is like attribution, and we all laugh about it. So I personally, I've always default to tell them how you're going to solve their problem in common, normal language. You can get to the business speak later on. And again, it could depend on who your audience is. If your audience is like if I'm sitting in front of someone and all they talk is that business speak, I'm like, all right, they sort of like this stuff. Got to play to the audience a little bit that I know the business speak too, or else they could look down at you. But most people don't like the business speak. So again, we all want things, communication, simple, easy, clear. We can always get into the technical. We can always get into the skills. We can always talk about that. But I've found in my career now, going on 30 something years of leading teams and being in business, the people who are the least productive use most business speak as a shield. That's my thing that I've run across. The people who spout the most stuff are the least effective people because they're using it as a shield. And the people who don't just get stuff done. It's really what it is. That's what people are looking for in business. Or even if you're in a boardroom, even if you're all in a buttoned up Wall Street firm, they just want people who can get stuff done. So Gerard, I hope that answers your question. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was very clear, and I'm in wholehearted agreement.
good. So in terms of what you post, there's a variety of ways to do this. It all depends on your comfort zone. Some of you might be very comfortable creating a little video and talking about your opinion about something, or jumping on someone's podcast, or starting a podcast, or whatever. Other people would like, no way I'm going to do that. But maybe you write, and someone would say, well, I write an article or just my thoughts about something, and I post it and I share it out. Again, some people say, well, what am I going to write about? Well, Eleanor, I'd be writing a day in a life of an executive assistant, or what some strategies on helping your boss stay organized. Like there's a million things. If you just think about problems you solve, there's tons of things you could talk about. 5 ways to be more organized as an executive assistant. 5 ways that you can do this. 3 ways you can do that. People love those things. And so you're right. Maybe you write once a month. Fine. Some people do it more. The other thing is on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on Twitter is comment on what you see. If you're following somebody and somebody shared an article, first read the article if you're going to comment, and then have a thoughtful response. I agree with this. I like number 4, or you know what? I liked everything, but number 4 I disagree with because of X, Y, Z. Keep it short, or just say, hey, thank you so much for sharing, Maxine. I really found value in that article. You're being social, but what you're doing is you're connecting and you're interacting with people in an easy way. Or just share an article. If you read something online, you like it, you thought it was great, post it on LinkedIn and said, hey, I found this article very helpful for me. I hope you guys find value too. Because when someone is interviewing you, they will look at your profiles. Yes, they're going to look at it, but they will look at your activity, because you could have a great profile and then you're a smart ass. You're a little bit have an attitude in how you talk to people online. People are going, oh, that's who you are. So this gives you an idea of how to share who you are beyond your resume. What are you involved in? Maybe you're highlighting that you support charities, or I'm volunteering, or hey, I'm going to this conference. Hey, I'm attending this conference. Hey, I saw this speaker, right? It's generosity. How I can help others, comment on others, right? All of your content is to share. So if you look at my profile, I'm posting podcast episodes that I do to help people. I share content from my team to help people. I interact and answer, or ask questions, or start conversations in order to, one, let people know who I am, and number two, to be seen by other people as someone of value, someone who knows what they're talking about, someone who is thoughtful, helpful, willing to help. That's who I am. And so by posting, and so again, it can be a little different. Like in LinkedIn, it could be more business oriented. LinkedIn is starting to get a little more casual than it was. But Facebook, again, it's, hey, I'm traveling here and here's what I'm doing, or here, maybe an article that you like was different and you post that on Facebook or whatever it is. But in terms of your platforms, it gives you an opportunity to connect with other people in the industry. And so again, why social media is really important for the job seeker is there's other like-minded people. Like, think of all the people that you are now connected with in this group, and their connections out, right? That's what LinkedIn originally was built for. It's gotten much less formal. But if I wanted to meet Pat, but I wasn't connected to Pat, but Maxine is connected to Pat, I'd go to Maxine and say, Maxine, can you introduce me to Pat? It's networking. Now it's like I can send something to Pat, or I can connect to Pat myself, or he can accept it or not accept it. But the point is that spread your network out, expand who you're interacting with. The great thing is now you can get to people you never could get to before. Never. You wouldn't be able to get to the CEO of, say, cars.com. But yes, you can. Right now, you can comment on something he says, and he might turn around and go, oh, that's a great comment. Thank you very much. And then next thing you know, you send him a connection. He's like, sure, let's get connected. You never could before. Now you can. So leverage that, but leverage it with how can I help you? Not, hey, can you give me something? It's be out there commenting. It's the long-term game. Comment, share an article, mention them. Hey, I saw you speak. I thought that was great. Just wanted to let you know. Oh, thank you very much. It's common courtesy, but now you can expand your network around. So the point is, what are you pushing out that's going to get someone to stop at your post and go, oh, who is this person? Right? So they have posting. So content. Number two is groups. What groups are in your industry? And participate. Groups have gone in and out depending on the group, how active they are. For in the beginning, everybody was in them. Now, then what happens is people get in there and they just start selling stuff and spamming you. You've all gotten LinkedIn connections, and you click on and go that person, and then the first thing they're doing is selling you something. You're like, why did I even connect with you? So go counter that. Always be from a generosity thought process of how can I help you thought process. Don't worry about it, right? There's a great book by a really good marketer. Some of you may have seen him online, Gary Vaynerchuk, VaynerMedia. His book, Jab, 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 Right Hook. And as he always says, jab, 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 right hook, meaning give, ask. Too many people ask first. Hey, can you do this for me? I don't even know who the hell you are. But if it's, oh, I've seen you comment on my stuff. I've seen you share my content. I see you thoughtful. I see you just for no other reason than, hey, thank you very much for your posts. I appreciate it. Without anything else other than, hey, I just want to say thank you and leave. Then later on, it's, hey, can I ask you a question? And they go, oh, you've been part of my community, active. Sure, what question can I help you with? So that's what social media is. Don't get bogged down in, I don't write, I'm not good on camera, I can't do this. There's tons of content that you're probably reading. Just interact with it. And all of you should be spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the morning or sometime during your day when you're having coffee or having lunch, scroll through LinkedIn, but Do it as an active thing of saying, I'm going to comment on 5 people's things today. I'm going to share content that I like. And it's just a mentality of when I read something I like, I share it. If I'm going to an event, share it. Hey, I'm going to this event. Who's going to this event? Love to meet you face to face. Let's connect for coffee. You never know who you're going to meet, but it's this active ability. And that leads me to also events. In the industry you're trying to be in or are part of, are there events that go on? Local events, national events. Can you go? Great. Are there ability for you to speak or be on a panel or offer your services to help them run it? Think about that. If I get in to help them volunteer and run, guess who I get to meet? The people who organized it. And who do the people who organize it know? All the people who sponsored, all the keynote speakers who spoke. And then all of a sudden you're standing there and here comes the powerful keynote speaker and you're standing there with the organizer, and what do? They introduce you. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I really liked your speech. Thank you very much. Not like, hey, can I meet you? Can I give you my business card? You just talk to them and say, man, I really love that. I thought that was great. Do you mind if I connect with you on LinkedIn? And people are going to go, sure. And then go do it. And then just put, hey, I was the one that met you with whoever the person was. I was with them. Thank you again for speaking at the event. It was great. Simple, common courtesies. It's that connection to leverage. So again, local events, volunteering, being on LinkedIn. And then lastly, and then I want to open that up to questions, is really making sure that everyone in your network knows what you do very clearly, very simply. I will bet you all, because I'm still working on it, I will bet you that your friends don't really know what you do. They know the title, they know the company, they don't know what problems you solve. Do your neighbors, do the people at your church, in your community group, in your do they really know that Eleanor is the super executive assistant that could make any boss more efficient and effective? Do they know that? Do they get excited about that? If one of your friends was talking to somebody who was complaining about their executive assistant, man, I can't find good talent. Does Eleanor pop in your friend's head immediately saying, dude, I got the person you need to talk to? She is a superhuman who can alleviate everything you're saying, you're complaining. This person will make your life 10 times better. I don't know. These are just questions that you need to be answering, because people are social media. Social media is connecting with your friends and family that aren't in your day-to-day circle, or connecting with your people in a business sense. But let's not lose sight of our social media, meaning media, talking, connecting, our close social network, our friends, family, business people. Does everyone know what problem you solve? So if that problem came up in conversation with them and someone else, your name would pop into their head. They would spout your name and say, you have to talk to Maxine.
May I ask what the other person, like there was a man who jumped in and he said, he talked about talk more about business processes versus like higher strategic vision or something. I was just curious if I could have the name and maybe have his contact later. And also I'd like your contact information as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I will put I'll put the contact information of Glenn in the chat, which you could download now, or you can download from the website a little later. As for the contact information of anyone who has talked on this meeting, that's up to them to provide you. We do not provide theirs. So if those people, if you want, put your contact information in chat, and Eleanor can download it later as well.
How would I reach out to that guy? I don't even know the name of that guy, the guy that jumped in earlier.
Well, he has to provide his contact information for you to contact him. Yeah, in the chat.
Eleanor, this is Jerry. I don't get focused on the vision or the strategy. The comment really was about asking a question more so than the details behind it. So to Glenn's point, there's maybe different ways to get people's attention. So my suggestion was ask the question, are you an executive who is having trouble with dot, 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 whether it be strategy, efficiency, or whatever, so that piques their interest, and then they can say, and then you can say, well, I'm the person to solve your problems. That was my suggestion. It was less so about vision or strategy or whatever.
Yeah,
It was more about asking.
and to your point, you become students of marketing, meaning when you connect with what makes you stop scrolling when you're looking at LinkedIn or you're looking at Facebook or you're looking at Twitter or Instagram. What makes you stop? Was it a title? Was it an image? Was it a video? Right? There's a gentleman here, Pat, who said looking to increase social media presence as a realtor, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, help with 1-minute videos. Perfect example. Become the expert in what you do in your community. 1-minute videos. Here's what's going on in the market. If you have any questions, give me a call. Hey, here's 3 things that if you're buying a house, here's 3 things to ask your realtor. Hey, if you're getting a house inspection, here's 3 things that you need to focus on. Ding, ding, ding. You become the expert by sharing what you do, right? So again, Eleanor, you could make 1-minute videos. Hey, here's 2 ways to be more organized in your day. Hey, if you're responsible to help your team be organized, here's 2 tips that I find really helpful. Like, if you scroll through Reels, people are always doing that. Here's the iPhone hack that none of you know. And we all stop to go, what's the thing I'm missing on that? Or, hey, here's a food hack that you should do, and everyone stops. So same thing for your industry. What's the hack you could promote? Now, again, some people are going to go, that's not me. It's okay, you don't have to, but think about when you're talking about it, communicating about it, how do I talk about that? Maybe that's a blog because you're more comfortable writing. Here's 3 organizational hacks that you did. Or maybe you read an article on Forbes magazine that talks about organization. You share that article out and say, here's an article about organization I really like. Plus, I would have added this tip to their list. Now you still are being seen as, wow, they know it. They read, they shared, and they're giving us more, right? It's additional. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. But I just want to summarize a couple things. I want to be here for any questions, and then I have to run to my plane. So again, just to summarize, reverse engineer. What problem do you solve, right? So again, I'm going to use Eleanor because she was kind enough to jump in. What problem does she solve? She creates the problem of confusion and disorganization for her boss. That's the problem she solves. I make them more efficient and more effective because I remove obstacles, stress, help them be organized. That's what I do, right? So then it's great. How do I explain that? Come up with something in that word that's common language that someone who would read it, who's not in business, would say, oh, I understand what that means. Then make sure that you have your skills and your job and you're talking about things that you accomplished. And again, in your jobs, in your businesses, what successes did you have? Did you lead something? Did you accomplish something? Did you help your company do something? Then have your skills. Then making sure on social media, be it Facebook, be it on LinkedIn, whatever, making sure that you're engaging with the audience that you want. Push out content, your own content, somebody else's content, comment on someone's content. But again, it's that idea of connecting with network, providing value. Then look at potential organizations, either organizations that are in your business field, events that are in your business field. Maybe if you can't afford the ticket, maybe they need volunteers to help. If you can afford the ticket, maybe if they speak and you're comfortable in speaking, hey, if you're looking for someone to put on a panel to talk about this, I could do this. Or if you're looking for speaking, it all depends on what your comfort zone is. But the key is get involved. And social media now gives you access to people you never could get in touch with before. People can see how active you are. They will look at how active you are, what you're saying online. And more importantly, you now can start connecting with people who can help you. But again, you have to understand, if you make it complex for someone to understand what you do, they're not going to recommend you because they don't know how to answer those questions, right? And so again, make sure your local friends, family, and people in your church, neighborhood, golf organization, whatever it is, they all can know exactly what you do, what problem you solve, not what title you are, what problem you solve. So when they hear about that problem, you're the first one they talk about. Any questions that I can help anybody with? And like I said, please feel free to connect with me, right? That's the LinkedIn profile. That's my office number. I'm going to put my cell phone number in. You're more than welcome to call my cell or text me. Just tell me, hey, I was at the event with you, so I know. But again, reach out to me if you want me to look at your profile. If you want to chat and say, okay, I loved all that, but I'm confused, help me. Call me up. I'm not charging anything. I have nothing to sell. I've done this for people. A few people have reached out to me and it's helped them get jobs. It's helped them do things. This is what I do to pay back for all the people who've helped me.
And by the way, what we'll be doing, you can download the chat right now if you want, which has Glenn's contact information. I and Glenn posted. In the upper left corner, there's an icon for go to meeting. And if you click on that, there's a drop down menu. It allows you to save the chat file. Also, in the PSG of Mercer County website, we'll make the chat file available as well as the link to the video we're watching. So, but before Glenn gets on a plane, if you've got a last question or so, please fire away, or we'll just keep the meeting open for open networking in a few minutes, which means Glenn will have to take off.
All right, everyone. So thank you all very much. I appreciate your attention. Thank you, Eleanor, for being the guinea pig. And for those who I was using as examples like Nancy and Maxine and Pat, that's because you guys were right in front of my screen. So I hope you didn't mind me calling you out as well. So like I said, if there's anything I can do for you, don't feel, like, oh, I can't reach out to him. He says this. No, I do. And those who reach out, hopefully they get some help. So let me help you too. All right.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Safe travels. Thanks so much for making the time in the airport today. And we'll be in touch very soon. So thank you. Have a safe flight. Safe travel.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, take care. So yeah, a little bit of a fun meeting today where Glenn is in an airport and I'm in basically a hotel room. So a little bit different meeting today. That's why we could not meet in person. So appreciate that. But of course, we are looking to invite you back to meet in person in future meetings. But I really like Glenn's comment. Too many of us focus on our skills. I'm an Excel programmer, or I speak languages. Here's me. But what Glenn's talking about is, here's the problem I solve. And that's really what hiring managers are interested in. Hiring is a very selfish process. And I know because I was a hiring manager in corporate. I wanted my next employee to solve the problem I had. And that if you had other skills that you're proud of, they may not be relevant for my job. So really talk at a high level what you do, and then you can talk about those skills and how they can solve the problem that I have. So it's a little bit of, he called it reverse engineering, but, don't put the cart before the horse. The cart has all your skills, but you just want to make that headline. I think that's what Rich put out there in the chat, make it your headline. And so I thought that was really a very powerful statement. So I want to let you know what else we have coming up over the coming weeks. And by the way, in just a moment, we will formally end the meeting, and then we'll keep the session open for open networking for anyone who'd like to hang around with us. We'll be right back here next week, both in person at the library and virtual, with Valerie S. Williams, and she will be at the library. So our presenter, Valerie, will be at the library next week, along with any of us that want to show up. And so it's Kickstart Your Job Search, the Essential Checklist. This is a wonderful program. I've had the pleasure of seeing it before, and it's evolved. She has a start-to-finish checklist of things you need to do, whether you're starting a job search or restarting your job search. So it's a fun program, a great deal of information. So you may be interested in that. So we will be streaming the meeting, but we will also be presenting it in person at the Princeton Public Library. So that's next week, the 26th of August. The following week is September 2nd, Friday, September 2nd. It's Labor Day weekend, and we will take that Friday off. So for those of you that want to relax and enjoy the Labor Day weekend, you'll be able to start a little bit early on Friday morning. We will not be hosting a meeting that Friday. So next week, we will be back both in person and virtually with Valerie S. Williams, Kickstart Your Job Search, the Essential Checklist. Also, go visit our other organizations. I believe it was Eleanor had a question about, does Glenn present at other places? Lots of groups in New Jersey and in the area. So go visit PSG of Central New Jersey. They meet Mondays virtually at 10:30. psgcnj.biz, psgcnj.biz, and also PSG of Morris County meets on Wednesdays at 9:30. psgmc.org, psgmc.org. So that's other programs and meetings that are coming up. So until we get to see you all very soon, either continuing virtually or hopefully in person, until that time, I will simply say, bye, everybody.